So this is something that I wanted to do for a very long time, and it's time to compare the paid premium platoons, or as players like to call them, the pay-to-win platoons, although I have to admit, I've died maybe a million times with the paid tanks, and honestly, they don't really feel much pay-to-win after I've been using them. Anyway, all jokes aside, today I'll be playing the M728 CEV and I'll be playing the BMP-1 RAT platoon. Now, the M728 CEV is basically the newest addition to the paid premium tank platoon list. And honestly, I've had a lot of fun with this platoon. The superstar of the CEV platoon is definitely the Wally tank, the Wally IFV, or the Wally ATGM carrier. This cute thing won me over in the last couple days. It's such a fun vehicle to use and drive around. Very unique gameplay, very good ATGM, and it can do a hold down on all possible places. The T95 E1 is also a very good vehicle, a very good sloped frontal plate, and has a PFS DS shells, a 90mm main cannon as well, which honestly does get the job done. And I really like this tank as well. It does feel unique. And then there is the CEV. Now this thing is like a mini Death Star. 165mm main cannon, a very short cannon, but this thing is using hash shells, has 22 kilograms of high explosive, I believe. So yeah, this is like a mini FV405. So yeah, over pressure, this is the vehicle that's literally able to knock out a mouse from the front if you hit it with this ginormous shell. Now, the BMP-1 RAT platoon. Why do I call it the RAT platoon? It's because of this thing. And the BMP-1 did cause a lot of uproar when it was originally launched. A lot of players were mad that this thing was launched. And I can understand why. This platoon is silly in every single possible way. But obviously, it is not immortal. I've died 1,000 times driving all of the vehicles. And I remember a lot of players voiced concern on the IS-3, but the IS-3 kind of, I think, from my experience, the IS-3 feels overrated. The BMP-1 and the Object just knock it out of the park, quite literally. The IS-3 does have good armor, but the main gun is average. The main gun is basically the same gun that we see on the IS-2. The same 122mm gun with the same shells and with the same penetration. However, this monstrosity right here is a very scary tank. It's fast. It has the hull of the IS-8 or the T-10A, which is honestly very strong for tier 6. Has a big 152mm gun. Has APHE and high explosive shells. So yeah, this is a scary little tank and one of my favorite tanks of this platoon, one of my favorite tank destroyers in the game. It's honestly a all-round scary tank. That's what I have to say about the Object 268. And then there is this thing, the ultimate RAT, as I like to call it, the BMP-1. Now, the BMP-1 is broken, or should I say, well, technically broken for several different reasons. A 73mm gun that can penetrate over 300mm of armor, and it has a 6-second reload. On top of that, it has a rocket launcher on top of it, a ATGM launcher. So yeah, has a lot of firepower. However, it has no armor, so any high explosive shell just kills this vehicle in a single hit. So while it's strong, it's definitely not immortal. Any high explosive impact close by destroys this vehicle. But at the same time, it's low profile, has ATGMs, and has a surprisingly nasty 73mm main gun that can spam anti-tank grenades. But let's start and let's have some fun. Now, let's start with the RAT. As I mentioned before, the BMP-1 definitely is fast, has a very good gun, and I have been using it so much that I am able to hit literally everything from any distance with this vehicle. I don't even need to follow the marker. I just aim based on my experience with the BMP-1, and yeah, that's already 2 destroyed tanks, and the match did not even start. Now, as I did mention on the start, the BMP-1 has no armor, so any high explosive shell, anything can literally penetrate the armor. You can also get penetrated by machine guns, bombs, aircraft machine guns. All that is a threat to the BMP-1. Artillery as well. If you see artillery sign, just run for the hills, because any close proximity artillery shell will destroy the BMP-1. And at the same time, I didn't really encounter a lot of problems with having no armor, because I take advantage of cover, I take advantage of teammates. I mean, teammates can also serve as cover. After all, this is not a vehicle designed to go up front. It is, as I mentioned before, a rat, a really annoying tank, or in this case, a really annoying infantry fighting vehicle. But we can call it a tank to make things, you know, easier to... Oh. How? Did you see that? How? That was a reflex, by the way. How did I destroy that tiger? I have no idea. But that tiger is... Yeah, that heavy tank is mad. They were literally completely to the right. And I nailed that ATGM right in the turret, right in the ammo. This is why I love this thing, because it's a rat. It's just... Words cannot describe how much fun I've had with this thing. So, if by any chance you enjoyed the gameplay of this vehicle, or in this platoon in general, I definitely can highly recommend the BMP-1 platoon. It is really strong and really fun as well. However, it does require some knowledge and some skill, since the vehicles in this platoon have little to no armor, which in my case isn't a big problem. I'm used to driving vehicles with no armor, but you know, not all players are used to having no armor, so I'm saying that if you enjoyed the BMP-1 gameplay, and if you like vehicles with no armor, then that was close, then this is the platoon that you would probably enjoy. And I'm just saying, the BMP-1 is the ultimate rat. And the T114 is also a good rat, but the T114 doesn't have a ATGM. And I feel like this vehicle does control much better than some of the other smaller vehicles. I know some vehicles have like a very slippery traction. They are like on ice. They can slide all over the place. The BMP-1 honestly feels very maneuverable and feels very stable when it comes to the vehicle's combat, if I can call it like that. And of course, I think the BMP-1 can swim. I think it should be able to swim. However, I forgot if I ever did try to swim with this thing. There's a yak tiger. As you can see, easily able to penetrate the front of this vehicle, easily, without much of a problem. When I first penetrated a yak tiger, I was actually confused, because I thought the feeling moment of penetration was for the ATGM. Can you imagine what my face looked like when I fired the main gun at the yak tiger and it just went through? When I saw that, I had the largest grin on my face that I've ever seen, because that's the moment I realized that this is going to be a very funny tank to drive around, or IFV in this case. Now, can you overpressure? You can actually overpressure light armor vehicles with the BMP-1. Vehicles with a open chassis, like that object, for example, will get destroyed by the anti-tank grenade launched from this vehicle. Even though it's a hit-based shell, it can overpressure vehicles with a open turret. So that's the ATGM can also do the same thing, and you also have a machine gun. So when it comes to firepower, the BMP-1 is loaded with it. It has 4 missiles, which is again really good. If it had 2 missiles, I would be happy. 4 missiles is really good. And I used to have high explosive shells, but I ended up using heat shells only because honestly the heat shells ended up running really well, and I rarely use high explosive. The heat just gets the job done, and the ATGM, so only heat and ATGMs that I use on this vehicle. You don't have AP shells, only the anti-tank grenades and high explosive. Even the high explosive shell in this tank was actually good, but the heat just does job much better, and that was me aiming poorly. I did not want to hit the cannon of the Panther, but I did. And there's one more vehicle over there, one more destroyed tank. It was actually a double kill there, lovely. And this is where I was kind of, yeah, I was surprised by the T-44, but we won the match. Doesn't matter, it was a good match anyway. That was the BMP-1 Rat from the BMP-1 platoon. Again, this is such a evil tank to drive. I love it. Absolute maximum fun. Okay, let's go to the, to the object. Yeah, let's go to the object. Oh, the big of this vehicle. Now, the object is strong, and a lot of players panic when they see this thing looking at them, and honestly, rightfully so. I also know the hell out when I see this thing staring at me, because I know if I don't move, there's a huge shell coming my way, and I do not want to get hit by this thing, because that's a big gun launching big shells. And speaking of big shells, you can actually go full high explosive with this thing and overpressure tanks. But I just love the APHE shell on this thing. The APHE shell on the object is nasty. It's able to penetrate, I think, 250 mm of armor, and there is literally nothing that can survive a penetrating hit from this caliber. As we all know in War Thunder, the larger the caliber, the more damage it does inside of the vehicle. If it's a explosive big caliber, that's just one shot, one kill. That's pretty much how it goes with the big shells here, with the big guns, like the gun on the object here. Now it's not the longest 152 mm, but at the same time it's definitely not short. Has good shell velocity, and as we already have seen, has good damage. And a lot of players have been focused on the IS-3 in this platoon, but very few players actually looked at the object 268 when they have been talking about how overpowered this platoon is. Now the IS-3, as I mentioned before, it has good armor, but it's not invincible. It can still be overpressured in the turret, and there is also the driver's hatch and the gun mantlet as well, and the main gun on the IS-3 honestly isn't that impressive. However, a tank that I actually considered to be a little bit silly in the platoon was this thing. Not only does it have armor, has speed, has firepower, it literally has everything. Well, it doesn't have a turret, but honestly it doesn't really need a turret. A vehicle that is well more than capable of being in top tier. You can actually up tier this to tier 9, tier 10, and you will be able to do just as well as in tier 6 and 7. That's how good this thing actually is. And honestly, the fact that we have the BMP-1 and the object 268 in this platoon does make the platoon really good, and honestly I recommend this platoon a lot because the tanks are actually really fun. Of course, the object 268 is not invincible. Just today when I tried to record the video, I've died maybe 50 times with the object 248. The weak spot usually is the lower plate, and you also have the flat surface next to the gun. That's where you want to hit the vehicle. And of course, any HEATFS or hit-based shell from tier 4 and up can go through the frontal plate of this vehicle. So if you see the object 268, shoot it with heat, shoot it around the gun or in the lower plate. But my advice, if you have a hit shell, try to hit the front and try to hit the ammo, which is stored at the back of the cabin of the vehicle. Basically, the back portion of the crew compartment, that's where the ammo is stored. If you can manage to nail a shell there, the tank just blows up. So while it's definitely a scary tank, it's not invincible. I mean, I've been shot by T-44s today. I've also been shot by M41s, all sorts of vehicles. So obviously, while being strong, it's not immortal. And that's the beauty of War Thunder, because it doesn't matter what tank you're facing, if you know how to disable the vehicle, you will be able to disable it with anything. So at the end of the day, well, tank doesn't matter, skill matters even more. And well, I'm just chilling here with this monstrosity of a vehicle, because that's just how this tank is used. I cover the lower plate as much as I can, and that's basically how you should be playing the vehicle. It's a medium to long range, it can be a sniper, obviously it has good accuracy. You can also use it in a more active way, but it's a tank, sure, it doesn't have a turret. So obviously, if you want to take advantage of cover the weak spots, and basically that's how the Object 268 was meant to be used. It can rush positions, but at the same time it doesn't have any turrets. So, and technically it does have a turret. It does have a machine gun, which is honestly really scary. Forgot the caliber of the machine. I think it's like a 12.5 or 12.7, but it's definitely quite nasty. And with armor-piercing shells, it's able to penetrate lightly armored vehicles without a problem. So it does have a good machine, very usable and very effective against lightly armored tanks and other armored vehicles. So, where am I going here? I actually like to go forward with the vehicle. I mean, seeing this thing barreling towards you at 50-60 km/h must be a scary thing, because that gun, I'm telling you, that main gun is the stuff of nightmares in tier 6. Because all it takes is one hit. And the high explosive is actually really good as well. I already mentioned it. It has 5.8 or 5.6 kilograms of high explosive. So obviously it's able to overpressure. There we go. Overpressure happened right there. Or obviously it's able to overpressure most of the vehicles. Not anywhere near as scary as the FV405 or the M728 CEV when it comes to the high explosive count, but honestly it gets the job done. Also, one tactic that I like to utilize with the object, it is the tootle dance that I like to do with the T95. It actually works for this vehicle as well, which I'm actually kind of surprised that it does work. Oh, and one thing I also almost forgot to mention, you can't really move the gun a lot. So you have to move the whole hull of the vehicle on time limits. And that's a jumbo, and the jumbo was able to penetrate the frontal armor. And they killed my gunner. That's kind of interesting. A Sherman was able to penetrate the object. There you go. That player knew where to aim. Anyway, let's go and play the CEV platoon. Now, I actually wanted to put a video of the CEV being used as a sniper. And one fun thing, I made a couple shorts when I was sniping with this vehicle, and some players said, "Oh, you're using mouse and keyboard." I laughed at that one a lot because I don't use mouse and keyboard. I'm playing on a little phone here with no controller, nothing, just screen and touch inputs. This is a tank that rewards. This is a tank that rewards a good aim. Although I have to admit, it was kind of difficult to send a shell flying a kilometer with this shotgun, because you really have to aim at the sky if you want to hit something that's a kilometer away from you. But let me tell you one thing: it is satisfying when you launch this shell at something. It is a very slow shell, but when it hits, there is no grass when this thing hits. There's just nothing left because it's a huge shell, a lot of high explosive, and yeah, it's like a mini FV405 with a very short gun. I will still attempt to make a whole video using this thing as a sniper, because I've seen so many players say how it's impossible to hit over 300 meters with this, while I was nailing leopards and ZTZs from 980 meters with this vehicle. It was difficult, but it's doable. And honestly, it was one of the most fun things I've done with this platoon. But yeah, this tank in most cases should be used at a closer distance. Now the 300 meter that players say, it does have some truth to it, because maximum zoom you can hit around 280 meters max before you run out of screen. Now I kind of solved that by not zooming in. I use the default zoom and just aim upwards at the sky, and then I just calculate where the shell will land and I fire. That's how I snipe with this tank, and that's how I shoot at longer distances without using zoom. It is difficult to zoom on a small screen, that's one thing I have to say. If I did have my older device, I think I would be able to aim much more accurate with this vehicle, but unfortunately my older device is not really working. We'll try to get it repaired tomorrow. I also need that device for a video that I want to do, for a performance video that I want to do. But definitely a tablet or a large phone will be very fun with this vehicle, since with a big screen you can actually aim properly. Not saying that a small screen is bad. I mean, in my case I'm playing on a relatively small screen, but with this particular vehicle, with the zoom level at long distances and the shell velocity, yeah, a large screen will make quite a difference with this thing. And yeah, that was ouch, a nice little hit in the side, and no, it does penetrate a lot, even though it is a hash shell. Hash does have some very interesting physics to it. Basically, it uses the armor of your enemy as spalling, and I love that. It's such an evil tactic. So much high explosive at a surface is just... I definitely do not want to be at the receiving end of this gun. And it doesn't look good for our team here. I mean, again, I've played a lot of battles today, and a lot of them have been defeats, which is okay. I don't really mind a defeat if I manage to destroy all the vehicles. After all, I only mostly aim for... No, I try to destroy as many tanks as possible. That's the thing that I'm trying to do. Let's say T10A, and that T10A had a very bad day now. With guns that use hash as primary ammo, you should definitely try to shoot turrets, shoot commands, hatches, you know, stuff where you know positions on the enemy vehicle that you know will ensure that the enemy tank gets destroyed. And that's what I'm trying to do with this thing. And yeah, that was a IT1 pancake. It does feel like, I mean, a lot of players have said that this vehicle is bad, and I have to disagree. It's honestly a very fun vehicle. The satisfaction that I get from blowing something up with this huge shell is close to what I experienced with the KV2. This does feel like a KV2 of top tier, actually. Although the KV2 has a much better shell velocity, that's true. But this does feel very satisfying to use. And I mean, there is something satisfying about using high explosive only with big caliber guns. That is why I'm actually enjoying this vehicle. I mean, again, it's a very good tank. It does require skill though, definitely. On the difficulty scale, it feels a bit more difficult than driving the BMP-1 or the object. Mostly because this vehicle actually requires you to aim. While with the BMP-1 and the object, you just follow the marker. But with this vehicle, you can't really do that. And from my experience, I actually enjoy that much more because it makes the target's destruction a lot more satisfying. Because you actually put some effort into aiming. At close distance, I'm just having a blast with this, literally. And pun was not intended. I'm quite literally having a blast with this up close. Especially when the enemy realizes that they messed up. The funniest thing is when the enemy sees that you're looking at them and then they try to fall back, panic, miss the shot, and then they reload like 20 seconds, and you just roll up close to them and yeet one shell in their turret. That's just a satisfying thing to do. And that was a feat, but it was fun. Definitely could have destroyed the IS there, but I missed. I hit the main gun inside of the hull, and they survived. But that was still nonetheless a good battle. Now, let's go to the T95E1. And this is the more traditional tank of the platoon. Has a long, high velocity 90mm gun that is able to fire APFSDS shells. It does penetrate a lot, however, you have to keep in mind a smaller caliber gun usually means the spalling will be a lot smaller and the damage will be smaller. So with this gun you need to aim at weak spots primarily. If you want to destroy a tank in one hit, shoot at the weak spots. Of course the reload is really good. The main gun is stabilized, which is very nice for tier 7 and kind of a must-have in top tier, but not really necessary to have. The vehicle is kinda low profile. The frontal slope, the frontal armor is very angled and it can technically bounce shells, but as usual with top tier tanks and top tier vehicles, don't rely on armor. Now I actually rely on some form of impenetrable armor that I like to call rock. The rock is the best armor that you can have, and that means using cover, using rocks, objects, stuff like that is extremely smart and the way to go in top tier. Now the turret, I feel like the turret is a little bit more vulnerable in the vehicle. Also has the machine gun turret on top, which can be overpressured. I've been overpressured a lot today with this vehicle, primarily when I got hit in the cupola on top. So keep in mind that it does have a weak spot, however, it's not too bad. And if you play smart, if you play tactical, as I usually play, I try to play tactical at least, the tank does do really, really well. Now, I don't know where that shell went. I felt like it was a ghost shell, maybe it hit the wreck, I don't know. But There we go, a good nice hit in the ammo. The gun penetrates a lot and it can reward accuracy. If you manage to land a good old hit right in the enemy tank's ammo, yeah, probably the tank will be destroyed. But at the same time, sometimes it does the opposite. You hit the ammo and it just does yellow. That's just unfortunately how Warzone works. It is the same in the PC version of the game, it is the same in the mobile version of the game. You know, I like to joke around and say, Gaijin really was very passionate about this game, and they honestly, joke aside, they were really passionate with this game. They even copied the War Thunder bugs into the War Thunder mobile game. And of course that's a joke, but they really were passionate about making the game, and I respect that. I definitely respect that. And that's what I'm saying, it's probably one of the best games on the mobile platform at the moment. Because it has no pay to win. It is mostly skill based and then luck based, I would say. But luck and skill at the same time. Yeah, you kinda need both. Especially in the last video where I got literally, my revenge bomber got spawned at a mountain. Can you believe that? The shortest revenge bomber run that I've ever had. 3 seconds, because I got spawned into a mountain. Yeah, I was mad. I was pissed. But at the same time, I was a good battle, so I wasn't really that mad. But yeah, I could have probably revenge bombed like the whole enemy team, but you know, it is what it is. Just all part of the game. And yeah, I mean, I had the same thing happen to me in the PC version of the game, and the same thing happening to me in this game as well. So yeah, it's War Thunder. It's War Thunder. The game that we all love, the game where we all rage. I'm actually curious to know how many mobile devices or tablets have been snapped in half because of the game. I would love to see the stats on that, because there has to be, like, I would love to know how many phones and tablets have been snapped in half because of the game. Because I know people have snapped keyboards in half of the PC version of the game. You can bet people have snapped phones and tablets in half in this game as well. Okay, that M47 is somehow still alive. Did I actually aim at the ammo, or didn't I aim for the ammo? Oh, okay. Oh, the ammo is at the right. Okay, yeah, my bad. I wasn't looking at the X-ray camera there. The ammo is at the left or to my right. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. That was just me having a confusion moment. I thought I was shooting at something else. Okay. Well, looks like it's going to be a victory. And this is usually how this tank should be played. It doesn't have any side or rear armor, as most tanks don't have, but it is a very good sniper and a tank that does reward accuracy. It does have a stabilizer, so you can shoot on the move. But the best performance of the vehicle I get when I'm actually using tactical positions and when I snipe. It feels like it's meant to do that. And that was a nice little battle. And now let's go and play around with the Wally ATGM box. Now, up until I got the M728 CEV platoon, I was all in saying that IT1 was the best ATGM box in the game. And honestly, in a lot of ways, it still is the best. It still is the most low-profile ATGM box, the most durable ATGM box, still fast, and it still works the same way that it used to work from day one of its release. Now, the Wally does have some advantage over the IT1. First advantage being it is actually a dual ATGM system, means that you can actually fire two ATGMs side by side, which honestly is very good and much better than one ATGM that we have on the IT1. Now, also a good thing, when you get hit in the ATGM launcher, it's not going to result in the vehicle's destruction. Of course, if you get hit by a big high explosive shell, yeah, that's going to destroy the vehicle, but it is not going to explode if it gets hit by most other shells. It is durable when it comes to the ATGM launcher. Also, a good advantage is that it is a little bit taller and you can hide this vehicle in a lot more positions. Now, height of the ATGM box can also be a bad thing, like on the ZT-2A3 or ZT-A32 or something like that. It's the bus ATGM box, or yeah, the ATGM bus. Yeah, that's the right term for it. That thing is so tall you can hide it. It's so tall that this position, for example, would not work. But it has tandem missiles, so yeah, that ZT-3A2 ATGM bus is definitely good. Unfortunately, just way too big. While the Wally here does have a perfect balance between height, firepower, speed, and everything else that comes along with it. The ATGM on this little ATGM box is actually better penetration-wise than the IT1. I believe the IT1 penetrates around 500 kilometers, this penetrates 630 to 700 kilometers, so very close to a hot ATGM. But I would say the hot ATGM might be able to penetrate a little bit more. In any case, doesn't matter if it's 400 or 600, it's a ATGM, this goes through any armor. Also has good explosion damage, does have some good effects when it hits explosive reactive armor. Actually, one thing I noticed, sometimes the explosive armor stops the ATGM, but at the same time it doesn't matter because there is a second ATGM quickly following the first one, so explosive armor is not really effective against the Wally. Even though when I launched the ATGM at a protected main hull tank, I tried to load the missile right between the turret and hull, where there is no explosive reactive armor protection, and that usually ends up in the immediate destruction of the enemy tank. Now usually when I'm launching at anything else, I just launch the missile pretty much around the ammo or close to the ammo, and it usually does that with the ammo, but against some certain vehicles I really try to be accurate to avoid the explosive armor. After all, the explosive armor does still do its thing, and it does work. It's actually a thing that does work. Of course, there's the tandem missile that doesn't care about the explosive armor, that just goes through. I mean, 1.2 thousand millimeters of penetration on the new tandem missile box. Yeah, that's kind of scary to think about. That's a lot of penetration. But honestly, any ATGM for me will be enough. I won't have problems with it, just as I don't have problems with this vehicle. I also cannot stop thinking about the meme that the developers posted when they launched the new Platoon. Even the developers acknowledge that this thing is adorable. I mean, just look. I mean, if you look at this thing from the front, yeah, it's literally Wally 101. Wally, if they decided to make it a combat robot, I guess, launching ATGMs. Also, this ATGM does have this ATGM box has a unique deploy animation, and the missile does get deployed when you're moving over 30 kilometers per hour. which is a very good thing to keep in mind. You can actually keep moving at 25 and the missile launcher will be deployed. Unfortunately, you are unable to shoot on the move. I actually thought you were able to do that, but you have to stop the vehicle in order to fire the missile, so it has to be protected with cover. It has to be used as a classic ATGM box, not like the IT1 that can actually be used shooting on, it can shoot on the move, so that's kind of a main battle tank with missiles. And this does not look good for us. I think we will lose this match, but I'll stay here. I'll defend Zone C till the very last moment. After all, I can't really run around with this vehicle, since if I run around with the vehicle, good chance I get eaten without being able to defend myself. After all, ATGM boxes are designed to be used in such a way. They are definitely designed to be used with cover, and the way I'm basically using it right now, that's the way it was intended to be used. And I'm fine with that. I mean, high explosive shells, bombs and stuff like that are still a threat. Okay, well, I'm slowly getting... yeah, there they are. I can smell my demise. Let's see if the bait works. Okay, it doesn't work, and yeah, there's vehicles all over the place. And it didn't. Yeah, that's I just eat it, the last ATGM there. Well, that was actually a fun battle. I did try to last until the very end, but nothing much I could do about that. Anyway, that was the two platoons that I wanted to play today. So, which one should you buy? That's the main question at the end of the video. Honestly, if it were up to me, I think I would personally, that's, you know, this is just me, I would buy the BMP-1 platoon, just because of the object and BMP-1, because these two tanks are just ridiculously fun to drive around. If you like a challenge, if you like tanks that reward aim, and if you like a trolling machine with probably the best ATGM box in the game, and if you want a tank with a huge gun and with a lot of high explosive, then the M728 CEV platoon is definitely for you. But in the end, tell me what you think about the two platoons. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about them, and with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and with that being said, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.